This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the I'll Have Another podcast with Lindsay Hine, and I'm Sara Canny. I'm the founder and host of the women's running retreat, Rise, Run, Retreat. And this fall, I'm so excited to be hosting the retreat in New Hampshire. I might be a little biased, but in case you haven't been, it's gorgeous here. Come join me this October 14th through the 17th as we run along lakeside trails and witness the sunrise over Lake Winnipesaukee. We'll be joined by two amazing guest speakers, self-defense instructor and owner of Girls Fight Back and Outdoor Defense, Nicole Snell, as well as corrective exercise specialist, running coach, and elite mountain runner, Kim Nadeau. It's 4 days away with memories and friendships that will last a lifetime. Spots are limited, as in there's only 3 spots available. So hustle on over to riserunretreat.com today and grab one of those spots. I'd love to see you there.
Hey everybody, welcome to I'll Have Another podcast with Lindsay Hine. I'm your host, Lindsay. I'm so grateful you're here today. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Gooder. If you are looking for a pair of sunglasses that are functional, fashionable, and affordable, make sure you check out Gooder. They have the cutest styles and they don't slip around or move around when you're on the run. You can save 15% when you go to gooder.com/another and use the code another15. Gooder.com/another, use the code another15. All right, friends, today I'm talking with Makena Morley. I am so excited for this episode. We were actually going to record it back in January, and it ended up not working out. So this actually seems like a really great time for it to happen because she is running so well. She recently ran her 10K PR in 31:25, which was a minute PR, just 0.2 seconds off the Olympic standard, which is 31:25. So she's well below the Olympic trial standard. She was a 7-time All-American at Colorado, and while she was there, she ran the 10K school record, which was 32:28. She was second at the 2019 USATF 10-mile champs, second to Sara Hall, only 6 seconds behind her. And recently, she ran that 10K PR at the Sound running event. She was also at the Gate River Run in Jacksonville as well, where she placed 4th. Makena runs for Asics, and she has a huge career ahead of her. Definitely get her on your list of people to be watching in the 10K at the trials this summer. All right, friends, if you are enjoying this podcast, please leave us a quick rating and review, as that is a helpful way new listeners can find us. And if you're into running, check out the other podcast about running in our network, Sandy Boy Productions. It's called the Up and Running Podcast, and it's hosted by Lauren Flores and Emma Benner. All right, friends, enjoy my conversation with Makena. All right. Well, today on I'll Have Another, we have Makena Morley on the show. Welcome to the show, Makena.
Thank you for having me.
It's about time we made this happen, right?
Yes, yep. It's been too long.
This is what made me like you so much. We were going to do this in, what was it, January?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
And then you were like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was in the mountains camping without Wi-Fi for like 3 days. And I was like, she's so much cooler than me and she's so young.
Oh, thank you. I don't know about cooler than you.
Well, I feel like you are very in touch with, like, I don't know, just like what matters in life. I get that vibe from you just right from the start.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Well, you are having like a great year. So congratulations on your successes this year.
Thank you so much. It's been really fun.
I mean, the cool thing is about the fact that we didn't actually record in January is not that we didn't have things to talk about then, but I was actually thinking about it, you know, as you did so well at the Sound Running event. I was like, this is actually going to be more fun because we can dive into that.
Oh yeah, it'll be great.
So tell us all a little bit about your history with running. I know you ran for Colorado where you were a 7-time All-American. Have you been a runner your whole life?
So not my whole life. I was a sprinter when I was younger.
That's
I was like,
crazy.
okay. Yeah, I was very adamant that my dad was a sprinter in college. And so I was like, oh no, I'm just going to sprint. Distance running's crazy. No way. And so in like, when you do like that's not, I forget what it's called, but it's like little league track basically.
Uh-huh.
And so I sprinted then until like, even in 6th grade, I did some sprinting. And then I started distance running when I was in 6th grade too, and doing like the mile. That was the longest event. And I loved it. And I think I was better at that than sprinting. So I was like, oh, I guess I have to do the distance running. and and my mom had been running for a while too. So she kind of got the whole family into running. And because she did all the, local fun runs and everything. And so she dragged me out for my first year of training runs. And I hated it, but then I grew to love it. So yeah, I started in 6th grade and then just kept loving it. And now still running a ton.
Yeah, I think that's probably super common for younger kids to want to do the sprints. I mean, I remember doing track in middle school and high school, and like I always wanted to do the 800, but like I definitely needed to be doing the 2 mile. But like running 8 laps around a track was terrifying to me.
Oh yeah, so long. You're like, no, I'd like to do a 200, half a lap.
Yes. And I will be dead last, but at least my race will be over in 30 seconds or however long it takes to do 200.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Okay, so I get the vibe from you and like your family that you're just like a really outdoorsy, active family, and that's kind of how you grew up.
Yeah, we did. Because I was born in Maui, Hawaii.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I lived there till I was 7, and then my siblings were both born there too. They're younger than me, and so that was super fun. We were always doing outdoor stuff there, all kinds of hiking and surfing and all that kind of stuff. And then when we moved to Montana, we had to, instead of surfing, we're like, okay, we'll just snowboard and ski on the snow. And so we do. Yeah, it's really fun. My parents did a good job of making us get outside and doing all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, I love hearing it because I'm super passionate about that with my own kids. Why were you in Maui? What brought your family there?
So yeah, my dad, they both went to school actually in Bozeman, where I'm at now, at Montana State University, which is where they met. And then my dad just really wanted to windsurf.
Okay.
And so it was a dream of his. So he like saved up all this money, and then my parents got married, and then they moved to Hawaii and to Maui, and they're like, oh, we're going to be here, max 2 years, probably 1 year. They were there for 10 years.
Wow.
And, yep. So they loved it. And then we only moved back to Montana just to be closer to family. So I think, yeah, the windsurfing is what originally brought them there.
I love that so much because it's like why not? And so they were there before they had you then, because you said you lived there till you were 7.
Yep. Yeah, so they were there for about 3 years before they had me, and then so they got to enjoy it without kids, and then they had three little babies.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, and then I know you have a sister. Is it 2 sisters or a sister and a brother?
So I have a sister and a brother. My sister's 3 years younger than me, and then my brother is a year and a half or a year younger than me.
Okay, and so my next question is, do you get to go back to Hawaii ever?
So we went only one time when I graduated high school. We went, so I was 18 when we went back. So it'd been a while, but it was crazy. I remembered like quite a bit of like how to get places and like what roads we used to live on. So that was really fun going back. And I definitely want to go back again now, now that I'm even older, and see it again. So.
And so your family lives in Bozeman, and you're also, as an adult professional athlete for Asics, training in Bozeman too. Do you live close to your family?
Yeah, so my mom and dad actually live in the Flathead Valley, which is about 5 hours northwest of me.
Okay.
And so they live. It's Big Fork, Montana, and so they live there with one set of my grandparents, and then so it's a pretty easy like 5-hour drive. They're close to Glacier National Park, and then cool. My mom's like side of the family, most of them live here. Her sister, so my aunt and uncle and my cousins, and then her mom, so my grandma, they all live here. So I live about 5 minutes from my grandma and 5 minutes from my aunt. So it's fun. I run by their house and I pop in and say hi. So it's nice. It's been really nice being close to them and being able to see them more.
That is so nice. I feel like especially at the like age and time of your life that you're in where you're like coming into adulthood, pretty fresh out of college still. It's like comforting to have adults who love you and care about you close by.
Yes. It's super nice. And I feel like since I came to visit here a lot, I felt like moving here was like, it was a pretty easy transition just because I kind of knew the town. And then if I didn't know about something, I would just be like, oh, Nana, where do I go? Yeah. So it's been fun to have them. I got to give my grandma a hug for the first time, like 2 weeks ago. So it's in a year and a half. So that was great.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, we're both vaccinated. So it was great.
Yeah. Speaking of that though, didn't you recently have COVID?
Yes. So crazy thing happened. I was like, I had my first vaccine scheduled. I went to get my first vaccine. I was like, oh my gosh, I made it. I made it through COVID, didn't get COVID. And then the next day I felt really bad after my vaccine. And I thought, oh, this is just, the remnants of the vaccine. And then like the day after that, I felt, just as bad. And then on that third day, I was like, oh, I don't think this is the vaccine. I was like, I think I actually have COVID.
Oh my gosh.
And I just felt it was weird. It was like, you just knew that you had something that your body has never had before, if that makes any sense. And so I'm thankful my friend was supposed to come into town. And so I was like, well, I should probably go get tested before she flies here.
Yeah.
And so I went to go get a test and I was like, oh, please don't be positive. It was positive. And so I think I was traveling a lot in that like 2 weeks before that, or week and a half. That was after I went to Jacksonville for the 15K. And then I went to see my friends in Boulder after that. So I was in airports quite a bit and traveling. So I must have had it in my system, maybe from that. And so, yeah, crazy. Got COVID in the middle. I had to take like 5 or 6 days off of running and just kind of laid there for a while. And then I was able to get my second shot still on that like 3.5 week mark. And so now I'm fully vaccinated and had COVID. So
wow,
I feel
you're like the safest person to be around on the planet right now.
I'm super immune. Yeah.
So, okay, you probably don't know the answer to this. I don't know. Maybe you're a scientist, but I'm so curious, like, because you got that first dose while your body like had COVID, I wonder if your symptoms were lessened because your body started fighting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because I asked them that when I went to get my second shot. And I just asked the doctors that were there, and they weren't really sure, because they've said that people who have had COVID, like a little bit before getting the vaccine, have kind of the vaccines like helped with any like remaining symptoms they've had.
Okay.
So, or like, I don't know, some people have said like their taste and smell comes back a little bit. I don't think it's like every person, but I've heard that some do after they get the vaccine. So I think, I don't know. It might have been. It was pretty bad still. So if the vaccine helped, thank goodness I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know.
How long ago was that?
So that was about 6 weeks ago now. It was 5 weeks ago when I ran sound running. So yeah, that was a week ago. So about 6 weeks ago is when I was just starting to run again.
I mean, okay. And do you feel, you just ran a massive PR in the 10K. So like, do you feel totally normal? Are you one of the lucky ones that's like, I'm back to my normal self fairly quickly?
Yeah, I was really nervous about that. So I started running, and I would say like 3 weeks post COVID, I did a 5K, and just like kind of like a little one with some college kids. So I went with the Montana State team to a race in Oregon, and it went okay, but I definitely was feeling pretty bad for those 3 weeks still. And then like all of a sudden, thank goodness, I don't know what happened, but that 5th week, so that week right before sound running, I started feeling like completely normal again. So I don't know, maybe my body kind of got back after 4 weeks. So it took about 4 weeks to feel pretty normal, but thank goodness I was able to feel normal before the 10K. So yeah, I think I've popped back by now. So hopefully it stays like this.
That's such a relief. I mean, COVID is so scary no matter what, but it's just like, it adds a totally different layer when your body is your job.
Yes, I freaked out.
Yeah.
When I got it. Yeah, and I have asthma too, so definitely felt, that's why I did take 6 days off of running. So I think I could have run probably during it. I don't think that would have been smart. So I did, because I took it off because my lungs, I definitely felt it in my lungs for a couple weeks. And so I don't know if that was, I think a lot of people have been feeling that, but I was like, oh, since I have asthma too, I'll really take it easy for a little bit.
Tell me about running at such a high level with asthma.
Yeah. So it's funny. So my family, my brother and my mom, my sister a little bit, they all had or still have asthma. And my dad does not. And I always was like, oh, I'm just like my dad. I don't have asthma. And then so I started getting these really bad allergic reactions. When I was at Colorado, I had to go to the ER a couple times after like a hard workout. Yeah. So, cause I was going into anaphylactic shock.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Super terrifying. And we didn't know what it was. And so that was scary because we, couldn't figure it out. So finally, before my 5th year at Colorado, I went to an allergist here in Montana, and we figured out that I'm allergic to aspirin. So it's called like aspirin-induced respiratory disease. So it's like aspirin, ibuprofen, anything like that. And it'll just like throw me into anaphylactic shock if it's paired with like a hard workout.
Wow.
But yeah, so really weird. They told me though, they were like, well, you can only have this disease thing if you have asthma. And I was like, oh, I don't have asthma. And they were like, yeah, I was like, no, I swear I don't have it. And they're like, well, let's just test. And so we did the test for asthma, and they're like, oh no, you definitely have asthma. So apparently there's like a small percentage of people who have asthma who don't wheeze. And so, I've never had like a wheezing asthma attack. And my mom used to get those. So I was just like, oh, I don't have asthma. They also said I have really big lungs. So they're like, you're getting adequate oxygen, but you do have asthma. So you do need an inhaler. So yeah, so I found out like not that long ago when I was like, let's see, 21, I think, or 22, found that out. But that's been a big help now, like knowing that, now having an inhaler. I'm like, oh, I wasn't getting enough oxygen. Now I can feel that I'm getting enough oxygen.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's been with the inhaler, it's pretty, it's pretty handleable when you're running at a high level, but some things like pollens and all that kind of stuff can kind of set it off. So this time of year is a little bit hard, but it'll be gone in like a week or two. So
when you were going into that anaphylactic shock, you had taken like ibuprofen or something because like you were achy after a workout, and then the workout plus the ibuprofen is what induced it?
Yes. So the first time was when it was a partially torn plantar. One of the times I did that. So I think I was on this like very high dose of ibuprofen. I think it was called naproxen.
Okay.
It's like super high dose of ibuprofen. So that's why we kind of narrowed it down, because it was like, that was the main time. The second time, it actually happened like a year later, almost to like the weekend, which was really weird. And so that second time I'd also taken some like ibuprofen, I think just for like, some aches and pains after a run.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, can't take that anymore.
Wow. That's wild. Okay. How old are you now?
I'm 24.
Okay. 24.
Yeah.
So they told you had big lungs. Maybe that's why you're such a good runner. That and your hard work, obviously.
Yeah, well, I did always notice that I might have a big rib cage at least. So
okay.
I hope I have big lungs if this rib cage is so big.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, everybody, a quick break here to let you know about Whoop. They are a fitness wearable that provides 24/7 personalized insights around your sleep, recovery, and daily activity. And listen, you do not have to be an elite athlete to invest in a product like this. This is so helpful. You put so much time out there running all those miles. You might as well figure out all the details so that you can recover the best you can so that you can perform the best you can. This is different than your standard GPS watch. It's focused on your body's recovery, and everyone knows that runners aren't always the best at taking off days or listening to their bodies. So this is the little nudge you need if you need a little extra sleep or you need a little extra recovery day. Who doesn't like a recovery day? It feels so good. I've been wearing my Whoop, and let me tell you how good it feels to wake up in the morning and see 8 hours on the board. It also encourages me to go to bed early because I know that in the morning I'm going to check that watch. Whoop has impacted my training in a positive way, and I know it can do that for you as well. Whoop is offering 15% off when you use the code ANOTHER at checkout. Go to Whoop, WHOOP.com and enter ANOTHER to get 15% off. Sleep better, recover faster, run faster. Get to the start line healthy with Whoop. All right, back to my conversation. Okay, well let's dive into like what's happening right now. Maybe we can walk back a little bit, but tell us about, 2020 was such a weird year, right? Then you end up getting COVID. So you got COVID in between the Jacksonville race and the sound running event. So
Yes.
then going into sound, how did you get yourself to be confident to go run such a strong race?
Yeah, so I've been asking myself the same thing. I was like, how did I do that? So I think so. Before I had COVID, I was like, okay, I know I'm in really good shape, probably the best shape I've ever been in. So I was like, oh, I know I can run, that close to that Olympic standard time if I have a good race. Then I got COVID, and I was like, ooh, I don't know, maybe we should kind of just shoot for the U.S. trials.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. So I kind of had that in my brain up until that last week before the sound running, just to kind of go into the race, do the best I can, and then but not overdo it, and just try to just get that trials time. But then that week before, I started feeling just pretty much to myself before COVID, and I was like, ooh, okay, maybe we can do that one time, the Olympic time. And so I don't know, I just was like, I've been feeling, I think maybe just as you get older too, it's probably I get a little bit less nervous for races, and I just feel like when you go into a race, you just know you've worked really hard, and you're like, okay, well, anything I do right now is I know I can run fast, even if it's an off day. You've had so much training in your legs that you can at least get a good time in. And I've been running with the Montana State University men's team a lot, and so I think they just drag me along. So I think that's been really helpful too, just being dragged through all these workouts. So I think that helps with confidence too, just being able to have all these training partners really help you along. So yeah, I don't know. I just got there. I was like, okay, do the best you can. Let's see what happens.
And you got fourth, behind Andrea. I'm going to say her name wrong. Sekafian?
Yeah, I forget how to say it. Yeah, I think that sounds right. I don't know.
Edna Kurgat and Sara Hall. Oh, Sara Hall always in the mix there.
I know. It's funny because I was remembering, I don't remember when it was in the race. I think it was maybe 2 or 3K into the race. I remember getting right behind Sara Hall, and I was like, oh my gosh, this feels like that 10-mile race I did in high school, or not high school, in college, when I got second to Sara. And so it was, for some reason, I really like running behind her. I don't know if that makes any, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick on Sara and try not to let Sara go.
I love that. Why do you think that is? I imagine, Sara's such a staple in the running community at this point.
Yes.
Is there a comforting thing to that maybe?
It must be, because now we're both Asics. So I think that was fun being oh, this is my Asics teammate. But in college, I wasn't Asics yet. And so I don't know, it's very comforting to run with her for some reason. I don't know if it's an aura she's giving off, but I don't know. It makes me feel calmer, and I don't know why. I should tell her this sometime.
You should tell her. That probably make her feel really good.
Or she'd be like, you were really weird.
No, she'd probably say something super motivating or inspiring.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, because Asics to me seems like it has a very smaller, very tight-knit group of people. Just from what I've observed over the past couple years from interviewing pro runners with different brands and whatnot. So talk to me about that relationship with Asics and how you decided to ultimately go with Asics for your sponsor.
Oh yeah. Asics is they're a great company. They've been around for a super long time. And when I first started talking to them, I really enjoyed talking to Ben. He's the guy that I go to all the time, and John Gregoric too. And they were just they loved the company. You could just tell by how they were talking about it. And you also could tell that they really respected the athletes they had, and they were just, I don't know, they just seemed to treat them really well. And so I liked that Asics too was the one company that you could go kind of wherever you wanted. They're like, we support you. We support your journey, and where you're going to be happy is where you're going to run the best. So we want you to go where you're going to be happy. So that was honestly the biggest pull for me, because I didn't necessarily want to go to a big group on the East Coast. I kind of wanted to stay a little bit closer to home. And so they were pretty much the only company that would basically like allow that to happen and do it like so nicely and so like supportively. And so, yeah, so that was a huge pull, just that the fact that they like respected your choice on where you wanted to go. And then we're like, okay, let's go do the best you can from wherever you are. So yeah, that was probably the biggest pull on picking them. And, but yeah, it's been so fun kind of as I've been on the Asics team a little longer now. It's been really fun getting to meet like all the women on the team. I've really gotten to know Lindsay, Flanagan, and Diane. And they're so great. And so I don't know. And then I know Emma really well too. So it's been really fun kind of, I know every time we go to a meet, it'll be like, oh, let's the Asics girls, let's all run. So that's been great too. And I finally got to meet Ben, Caesar, and then John Gregoric, the Asics guys who I correspond with the most at the Sound running meet. So that was really fun.
So I'm assuming John Gregoric is Johnny Gregoric's dad.
You are correct. Yes.
Okay. I'm like, that's that last name is too unique for him not to be.
Yep. Apparently they're like the fastest father-son mile duo ever. So in the world, probably.
Okay. Yeah. I actually very recently just interviewed Johnny. So I'm super familiar with their story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. I mean, you're naming all these people. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, Asics. I feel like it's growing as far as like the marathoners, and not that you're a marathoner, but like the elite field of runners. Because like, for so long, you know, Dina and Sara were the two names everybody knew that ran for them. But now I'm thinking, yeah, Lindsay Flanagan, Emma Bates, Diane Curry. It's a good little team you guys got going on.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's been fun too that they like, all of them are more marathon and they stepped down to track for this year. So that was fun to be able to run with them in the track.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll end up doing marathons, you know, and I don't know when. So hopefully I'll get to be dragged along by them in some marathons.
Well, that's one of my favorite questions to ask track people, even though like, you know, I love watching you track athletes like excel in track. When you lean towards the 10K, us marathon people are always like, okay, is that in your future? Do you want to do that? But you're still so young still. So you just put it out there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. So I think definitely that's where I'm headed, is to the marathon. I love long stuff. All of like the long workouts and long tempos are all my favorite things to do. And so I've always kind of known like, okay, I'm going to go to the marathon. I kind of thought it'd be sooner, but now I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll wait a little bit. But you know, so I think I want to probably run the marathon at the next trials. So I'm thinking I'll for sure do a marathon probably in 2022, just to kind of get one in a couple years out from that. But yeah, maybe originally I was thinking one this fall, maybe that'll happen. Or I might just stick to, you know, like the half marathon and under for some road races this fall. And then do a marathon at some point in 2022.
That's really exciting.
I know I'm a little nervous. It's really long, but I think we'll see how it goes.
So have you had the opportunity, I have to ask just because, you know, when you think of Asics, you think of Dina Castor. Have you had the opportunity to have good conversations with her and learn from her at all?
You know, I actually haven't met her yet. Of course, I know all about her.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't actually met her yet. And I'm hoping to meet her, I think, you know, in like the upcoming year or so, once COVID, you know, kind of we are able to travel around more and stuff. I think hopefully I can start to meet everyone I've like seen and known about, but not actually met yet. So I'm excited to be able to meet her when I do. I did meet her though, actually, now that I'm thinking about that, when I was in high school, but I'm sure she doesn't remember that because she was at Foot Locker. She was at Foot Locker Nationals, and I was there because she was one of the they bring in, because it was sponsored, I think Asics was the sponsor behind it, so they brought in like Asics athletes to talk on like a panel. So I did meet her once very briefly.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well you mentioned high school Foot Locker, so let's just go back there a little bit and and then we'll come up to full speed to where we are today. You were obviously, anybody that says they ran in Foot Locker in high school is like a gifted, talented, hardworking athlete, because you don't go to Foot Locker if you're not. Tell us about when you realized you had some real potential to, you know, run in college and then pro.
Yeah, so I guess even in like, it kind of started in middle school, because at like when I first started doing the distance running in 6th grade, I was like actually fairly good at it. And I didn't run that much. I was like, ooh, okay. It kind of like ignited a little fire in me. I'm very competitive. So
I love it.
Like, ooh, I was like, I'm doing good at this. Great. I'm going to keep doing this. I think by like freshman year in high school, it was Montana. They have some great athletes who've come through Montana. But it's not always like the deepest state of runners. And so I think it was a good and bad thing. I feel like freshman year, I didn't lose any races. I don't know. I think I lost one race in senior year of high school, in the state of Montana.
Wow.
And I lost a couple track races as a sophomore, but cross country, I did not till I was a senior, but that was like a good thing for my confidence, I think. And also a little bit detrimental to when I actually did go to college and have a team of people. Cause I was like, oh, how do you run with girls? But kind of that freshman year, and that was the first time I made Foot Locker nationals too. And I was just that really ignited all that, like, oh my gosh, this like running can really take you a lot of places. And so I was like, this could really be, cause there was a lot of seniors at Foot Locker nationals too. And they were all talking about, oh, I'm running for, this college and this college. So that was kind of when I started like, oh, I guess I'd known that you could go to college and run, but I hadn't really like thought about it till I started meeting people that were going to certain colleges. And then I would follow along with, their careers in college while I was still in high school. So it honestly was that first Foot Locker nationals that probably really was like, okay, I love doing this. I love the community. I love, meeting all these great women and men that do it. So that I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this as long as I can.
So you end up running at Colorado, but did you go somewhere else first? I feel like you did.
I did. Yes. Yeah, so I went to University of Montana I really wanted to be, I'm kind of a homebody.
Yeah.
So now I'm back in Montana. Everyone's like, well, of course you are. But I wanted to be close to home. So I went to University of Montana. It's not where I am now. It's in Missoula, Montana.
Okay.
And so I went there for a semester. I had not a very good situation with the coach there. So he ended up getting fired and everything.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, it wasn't good, but I'm happy for the experience. It was great. I loved the town of Missoula. My teammates were great. I really liked that whole thing. Just the coach was just very creepy and not great. So I ended up transferring. Thank goodness I got out of that situation. And there was, three guys from Montana that were on the University of Colorado team. One of them is now my boyfriend.
Oh,
but
wow.
I'd known them, I'd race not with them, but I talked to them a lot during all the high school races in Montana. And so I reached out to them and I was like, I'm interested in Colorado. I'm transferring. So ultimately I kind of went to Colorado just because I got, I knew people there, which made it a little bit more familiar. And also it's obviously a great running school.
Yeah.
And I loved Mark and Heather, the coaches, when I met them. So decided to go to Colorado, which I'm very, very happy that I did.
So you had good coaching experience at Colorado.
Yes, great coaching there. Mark and Heather are great. But yeah, nothing like that University of Montana. But
how did you overcome that at such a young age? Because I feel like when you're so young, like an authority figure, that can really mess with your head.
Oh, and honestly, it did more than I actually thought it did. And so I think, it honestly took probably like a year to even 2 years to actually really be able to look at the situation and be able to swallow it and kind of forgive some people. It's always good to forgive.
Yes.
And so, so it really did take longer than I thought, because when I finally was able to think about it and do that forgiving, it was like a huge weight off my shoulder that I didn't even know it was there until it was gone. Then I was like, wow, okay, I feel great now. So it definitely was hard, but my parents helped a lot because they knew, everything about the situation. So they were super helpful with that. And I think just jumping into a team in a totally different place too was also great, just to kind of get my mind off everything.
I was wondering about your parents when you said the forgiving thing. I was like, I feel like that's something that might have come from a parent.
Yeah, you're very right.
Oh, that's so good. So great experience at Colorado. Did you sign with Asics right after your senior year?
So senior year was weird because the track season was canceled. So they were like, oh, you can take a 6-year if you want. I was just super grateful that they even offered having a 6-year. But I, at that point, was just like, oh, I don't know. I was a little bit done with school.
Yeah.
So
oh, gosh.
I was like, yes, I hadn't prepared to do a 6-year. So I think I just couldn't wrap my mind around going to school again. And I also would just I feel at that point, you already feel kind of old as a 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was like, oh, I'm going to feel so old as a 6th year. And so, yeah, I decided, let's see, we were able to the process was a little bit different just because usually, you can't sign, I think you can have an agent, but you can't sign with a actual shoe company until after NCAA's outdoor track. And so we didn't have any of that. So the whole spring was it was nice because from March until May or June, we were able to have a lot more conversations with the shoe companies and with agents. So it did give us a little bit more time, the people who went pro last spring, to talk with people and decide what you were going to do.
I can't believe it's been a year.
I can't either.
It's just crazy that this time has passed and that was your reality. Because I've talked to so many athletes that either had foregone their 5th year or missed their track season, and the outcomes have been so different for people based on what they chose to do. And some people chose to forego that 5th season before anybody knew COVID was going to happen.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Oh man,
I know, it's crazy. I know. I remember thinking oh, this will be a month long.
Yeah. No.
Nope.
No. You mentioned your boyfriend. How long have you guys been dating?
Almost 5 years this summer. So
wow. Okay. And who does he run
long
for?
Time. So he ran for Colorado, and we're both lives about 30 minutes from me. So he lives in the Flathead Valley too, where I'm from, in Montana. And when we were in Boise, Idaho, when we ran for the Idaho Distance Project, he was running for them. Yep. And then I was running there, and he kind of took, he's 2 years older than me. So he took a year or two off, not totally off, just ran for fun. He was a little bit burnt out, so didn't totally train super hard. And then he started training pretty hard a little bit before Idaho, and then when he was in Idaho, and then he runs semi-professionally for Ace a little bit. Asics gives him a little bit of something, so which is nice. He gets some gear and stuff from them, so that's we can be matching. So that's fun. I think he might do a little bit more trail races. He got COVID after me, I think it hit him. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we tried to quarantine, but you just can't if you're living together.
Yeah.
And so I think it hit him harder than he's been having a lot harder time coming back after it. So unfortunately, so he was going to try to do track. So he decided, I'm not going to do track. He just stopped doing track now. And then I think we'll maybe do some road races and stuff in the fall.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, a quick break here to thank Athletic Brewing Company for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Athletic Brewing Company brews delicious craft beer that just happens to be non-alcoholic. The founders, Bill and John, started Athletic because there was nothing like it on the market. They are craft beer lovers who wanted to cut back on alcohol without compromising flavor. They couldn't find what they were looking for, so they made it happen, and they brew the beer they wanted to drink. So if you are looking for a delicious beer that's high quality, flavorful, and award-winning, only 50 to 75 calories per can, something to drink on any occasion while staying away from the alcohol. The other thing I love about Athletic Brewing Company is they are doing good. They donate 2% of all sales to maintaining trails and parks that are oftentimes underserved by government budget shortfalls. These spaces are the center of getting outside, being active and mindful, and spending time creating memories with friends and family. They got a lot going on, and you should definitely check them out. Go to athleticbrewing.com and use the code AnotherAthletic15, and that'll get you 15% off your first order. athleticbrewing.com, use the code AnotherAthletic15 to save 15%. And when you buy 2 6-packs or more, you also get free shipping. All right, friends, back to my conversation with Makena. Your track time, though. Let's talk about your track time. Your 10K.
Yeah.
31:25:19, which was a minute PR at the Sound running event. That is such a big PR for the 10K.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the 3 years. I was like, oh, perfect. Every 3 years, I'll just do a minute
blow it out of the water.
And I'll have the world record. Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah.
That's so great. Mm-hmm. So that puts you 0.2 from the Olympic standard. Were you going for the Olympic standard, or were you like, I need to at least just get the trial standard?
So yeah, so I wanted to just get the trials originally after. Once I got COVID, I was like, okay, backpedal, just the trial standard, just get that. Don't worry about the Olympic standard. Then I like started the race, and it was one of those races where you just feel, great the whole time, which is not always the case. And so I was like, oh my goodness, like we're close to it. I know we were a little bit off after the first, I think we were about 10 seconds off after the first 5K, off of pace. And so I think we negative split by quite a bit. Might have even been more than 10 seconds. I don't remember, in that second 5K. And so I just was kind of like hanging on and hoping like, okay, that I know this is fast and I know we're close to that time. And so I'm just going to try to hang on. I wish, because they stopped the clock when what was her name? Was it Andrea? When she crossed the line, and I was coming down the last 100. So I had no idea where I was at. And so I really wish that the clock would have kept going, so I could have, I don't know, catapulted myself over the line or something. Yep. Because I saw her time when she crossed. And so I thought, okay, I know what time that was. I think I have enough time to get to the finish line. I did not, apparently. And so, yeah, I wish I would have seen that clock. But with like about a mile to go, I was like, okay, if I'm able to keep the pace or speed up a little bit, I can be close to that time at least. So that was exciting to be close. But then I was like, oh, it's too close. And a 10K, 0.2 is nothing.
Yeah. Okay, so this makes me super curious about the 10K trials. First of all, I'm assuming you're not, but you tell me, you're not racing another 10K before the trials?
No, I'm just training until the trials now.
Okay. I hate to assume things sometimes, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of time to... 10K is not the same thing as racing a 5K.
No, it's way different. You got to recover some after it.
I'm just so curious about this because this field is just going to be wild. Like, there are so many of you out there that are just so good and fast.
Yeah, it's also going to be massive, I think, because I think once you set the US time, like the US trials qualifier time, you have to accept everyone, because usually they just say, like 24 is the cutoff. But I think I heard someone say there's like 40 something right now.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. So I think because once they set that time, once you hit it, you have to let people in. And so, I think it's gonna be a really big race at the start also. And a really good field.
I'm so excited. The trials are so exciting, and I'm excited to see the 15 and the 5K, definitely and the 8. Like the longer the distance, the more excited I get for some reason. But this is the race I'm most invested in, because I feel like there are 15 people that could potentially make this team, if not more.
Yeah, there honestly are, because I was looking through the list and I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's so close together right around the Olympic qualifier, and then obviously some are faster than that too. But yeah, it's so close up there. So I have a feeling the race will go fast.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yep. I just think, because if it does, I just think there's so many people that are quick that you would want it to go fast. At least, I don't know, that just makes sense to me. We'll see. But sometimes I get really confused and I'm like, what's going on? We're jogging. But I think that it's probably going to go pretty fast. Just because there is so many people. So I feel like those, top women are going to be like, oh, I got to just run as fast as I can to outrun people.
Well, okay, this is what I'm wondering. What about, I don't know what percentage of the field has the actual Olympic standard, not the trial standard, to actually run in the Olympics. Is there a case where those people want it to go slower so that less people grab the standard? You know what I mean?
Oh, that could be. Yeah. But then, because I think it really depends. Because then if you go slower, it does open up that, well, I guess if people don't have the standard, they can't go to the Olympics, even if they got top 3. Right. But I was like, it does open up that top 3 spots for someone who maybe who has a super fast kick, but didn't necessarily have a faster time at the very beginning. My last championship races were college, and they were in Austin, Texas. So we were slow because it was so hot and humid. Yeah. And so I'm very interested to see how this one goes.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to run the standard, because you guys you want to go to the Olympics.
Yep. I know. I was like, I kind of hope it goes fast. And so then I don't know what will happen, but I can, go for it and maybe hit that Olympic standard too, which would be great.
So is that make it, because regardless, making the Olympic team is going to be a challenging thing to do, But does that
Mhm.
make it more exciting to you as the competitor that there's just such a hot field out there?
Oh, it's super exciting because then, like if you make it, you're like, oh my gosh, look at like this field of women
Yeah.
that I just beat. Like that's amazing. And it's just so fun to see how many women are running so fast right now, or US women. And I mean all the women, but like just so fun to see it in the United States, like how many
Yeah.
women are running so well. It's just super fun to be like a part of that group. And there's just like a great energy too. I feel like everyone's so ferocious, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like it's great. Yeah.
And I feel like y'all are so supportive of one another.
Yeah, everyone is. It's so sweet. I'm sure it is like this too in other events too, but I feel like especially the 10K of all of them, I know people are just huggier in the 10K. And so yeah, everyone's just so sweet and they give all these hugs. I love hugs, so I'm all for the hugs, especially now that people are vaccinated.
Yeah. You can just wear a sign. I've had COVID and I'm vaccinated. Give me all the hugs.
Please give me a hug.
I do feel like that too.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said this, and it might have been someone talking about the marathon, but like the camaraderie is just a little bit different because you're like weathering a storm together that's much different than like fighting tooth and nails for like 2 minutes in an 800.
Yep. Yes, I completely agree. And especially a marathon, I mean, obviously even way more than a 10K, but I think it's just because you're out there grinding for so long and you're just like, wow, I just did that. Like, oh, everyone else did too. Like, amazing job, everyone. Great job.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is your, like, I should know this maybe, but what is your strength on the track? Like, are you a kicker? Where do your biggest strengths lie?
I wouldn't say I'm a kicker. I sometimes can be fast. It does not happen frequently. So
this is why she wants to be a marathoner, guys.
Yeah, see, this is why I need to be a marathoner. I shuffle, and so sometimes I can pull a kick out. It really depends. I used to not be able to in college that much. I don't know. So I feel like now I think I've gotten a little bit speedier on that, fast speed end now for some reason. Don't really know why. But so I think, maybe I could kick now, but definitely my strength is just kind of like evenly grinding out a race or, negative splitting, but just running like pretty even splits that whole time and just running like fast from the start and just like running that the whole time, if that makes any sense. I'm not the best kicker, but we're working on it.
Yeah. So not to give away race strategies, and you don't know what you're going to do until you're in the moment, but like in an ideal situation, it sounds like you would prefer to like kind of break away from the crowd with a couple laps to go or something like that.
Yes, I would need like an 800 kick.
You want to be ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I would need that, and then the speedy girls, they can go with like 200 to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like 10Kers run a lot like that, and just like grind out the 10K anyway. So I feel like I feel like a lot of people probably do that too.
It's wild to see someone with a kick like that, like the kind of ground they can actually make up in 200 meters.
Oh, huge.
It's crazy.
You can take 5 even more seconds off in 200 meters of your overall time. Yeah. Sometimes like 10 seconds in one lap.
It's wild.
Depending on how fast you can go. Yeah, it's crazy.
So what is your mental game mindset when, it's like you're finishing, everything hurts, but you are going all out until you cross that finish line? What do you say to yourself to stay tough?
It's changed over time. I used to honestly get kind of nervous for those like last little bit when I knew it was going to get really hard and really fast. And so I definitely kind of had to overcome some of that nervousness, because it would almost be like not dread, but like, oh my God, it's going to start going. Yeah. Oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so like that was even, through most of college, I'd be like, oh, here we go. So I know recently I've just been like really excited to see what my body can do. And so even when I'm in a ton of pain, I'm like, okay, I've been in all this pain in workouts. Like I've done this. I know I can keep going, and just like, let's see how fast you can go. And so I think it's been fun. Also, like, it's been nice to challenge myself, because a lot of times I fall off in a race with like, a mile to go or, 800 to go. So it's been, I've almost been like, it's just like a challenge against myself to be like, McKenna, don't fall off. Just like keep going. Stay close to someone, pass someone, just like see if you can hang on and even go faster in that last like 800 meters to a mile, because that's where I've struggled in the past. And so I think it's more like I don't know, it's more of like myself against myself, if that makes any sense. And just kind of seeing, okay, you've put all the work in, like, let's see how far, like, take it to the end.
I love that. I love the thought of like getting excited to see what your body can do rather than feeling nervous that like about
Yes.
how painful it's going to be.
Yes. Yeah. I was really happy that was like a big shift I've been noticing just like in this last, like, 5 months even. And so I was really happy that when I saw like 4 laps or even 6 laps, but 4 laps with that sound running 10K, I was like, okay, let's go, let's speed up. And I was like, oh wow, I never think like that. So it's exciting. I think my mindset's coming around. So
Are you working with a sports psychologist on that, or has it just been something that you've come to on your own?
no, I don't. I should work with a sports psychologist. I don't work with one right now, but it's kind of come to me on my own. I think the college guys that I work out with have been really helpful too. They're extremely good at cheering me on,
Aw.
which is great because they're usually in front of me. And so whenever I'm finishing, they'll like, come back with me, help me finish. And so I've been finishing workouts a lot stronger than I used to. And with like a lot more excitement because they're all being so helpful and
That's
great.
so awesome.
And so I think I honestly think that's, maybe a big reason why too, is I've just in practice have been practicing that and, doing it in the workouts with their help. So I think maybe I'm just teaching myself how to do that every week. So that's exciting.
And are you training with Grayson at all as well? Grayson Murphy?
Yeah. So it's been fun to kind of, I train with her sometimes. We do have different coaches. So
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard because, we'll have workouts on different days, and with COVID, it was a little bit hard too. Cause I work out with my coach is the Montana State University coach. And so I work out with them. And she wasn't able to come into their facilities with COVID. Now she can. And so it was a little bit hard in the winter, but in the fall, we worked out together. And then we do a lot of easy runs together. So whenever we can have a chance, we'll meet up and run. So she's going to drag me on some trail runs this summer.
Fun.
That will be fun. Yeah, she's going to kill me. I love trail running, but she's way better at it. So I'll have to learn some strategies on how to run the trail the best.
Well, you know what? Like, that's one of my favorite things about Grayson. Like, she still works really hard at the highest level, but she follows her heart and like does what she loves to do.
Yes, we very much bonded on that, which was great. Because I feel like we're kind of similar on that, Grayson and I. So it was. I'm really glad she's been in Bozeman, and it's been great running with her.
Yeah, I could see you guys being kindred spirits in that way. You seem like I'm assuming lots of things about you for some reason. I don't know why. Like when I said you're wise behind your years, but like you seem like an adventurous soul.
I do like to, I do like to do that. And yeah, it's fun to have, Grayson's also very adventurous. So it's fun to have like someone else who's like similar and say, ooh, yeah, let's go do this adventure run. And let's go do this. So that's fun to have her around.
Yeah, like balance out your like, this is my career, this is my profession, I am all in, I'm working my butt off, but like there's time for play too.
Yes, she does a good job balancing that. So I've like learned a little bit from her too. So that's great also.
That's so good. Okay. Before we do into podcast questions, you're also a big snow skier, mountain skier. What is it?
Oh, snowboard. Well, yeah, I snowboard, and then I like skin up. I do some skinning, which is like it's a split board and you skin up the mountain, then you snowboard down.
Oh, that's so cool. Now, do you get nervous doing that though? Like I'm thinking injury and stuff like that.
So usually where I go, at least recently, I didn't honestly get to go this much this winter because the snow conditions were pretty iffy for avalanches. So I didn't want to obviously get myself into one of those situations. But no, I usually go when there's a lot of fluffy powder. So if I fall, I won't hurt myself. I'll just fall into like a pillow of snow. And so no, I'm not too worried about it. When I do notice though, I'm a little bit, when I go to like an actual ski hill and I go on like groomed runs and stuff, that kind of thing, I do notice I'm a little more careful now than I was before. Cause I'm like, ooh, I need to save these legs.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to be a mom someday, but I feel like you're going to be the coolest mom if you ever are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I
have
do.
a dog, but yeah.
Well,
thank you.
I'm not even like, who knows if that'll happen in your life or if you even want it to in 10 years or whatever. But like, I feel like you are just so adventurous and outdoorsy. And I'm like, man, And it's all coming from like me picturing what your childhood was probably like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was very fun. It would be, yeah, so if I have kids, I would like to do with them what, like, what my parents did with me. I'll be like, okay, you guys have to only play outside. Here's some sticks.
You're not allowed
Yeah.
inside until after 9
Yep.
p.m.
Yeah. Here's mud, sticks, you got it. Go.
Good job, Mr. and Mrs. Morley. We love it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they did great.
I actually have a parenting podcast, and I am going to be interviewing Becky Wade's parents, but I'm like,
Oh,
like whenever I interview athletes, and I think specifically younger athletes at this point, I'm always so intrigued with like how your parents raised you and all that. So I'm like, man, your parents would probably be really awesome interviews.
yeah, if you ever want to, I can give you their info.
They can talk to us about raising adventurous souls. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, Makena, I'm so pumped for you. Just keep riding this train into the trials that you've been riding, minus the COVID.
Yes.
What is one thing professionally or personally that you would like to do that you haven't done yet?
Oh, that is a great question. Well, I feel like professionally in, in running as that profession, I also work at a running store. So I have a couple things going on, but I feel like obviously this is the goal that probably everyone tells you, but I would like to, try to make the Olympics. We will see. I'll go as hard as I can at the trials. And then personally, I need to start doing some meditating.
Yeah.
So, this is a personal goal of mine. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I will try my hardest to, do some more. I think that would be very helpful. I am always doing things. I have a very busy schedule. I like that. But I also feel like I need to, be able to take a step back and be like, okay, I need like 10 minutes to myself right now. And so I'm going to try to learn to do that. We'll see how long it takes.
I mean, Grayson could also help you in that. Isn't she like a big meditator?
I think she is. So I think I need to just go to her house and say, okay, help me. What do I do? and maybe she can lead me through it.
Okay. I was wondering about that because you mentioned earlier that you were at work, and I was like, I wonder where she works. And I thought maybe she meant she was running, because like running is also your work. So you work at the running store.
Yep. I started working there in February. It's like a little local running store. I love it. I love my coworkers. It's really fun. I think I was in the house too much before. And so I was like getting antsy, and I was cleaning like 5 times a week. And I was like, I don't need to do this. This is insane. So I was very bored. So it's been really nice to like, get out of the house, and like, it's a great place to meet new people. And so it's been really fun. I've loved it.
So how many hours a week do you do that on average?
Right now it's a little bit more. I'm about 30-ish
that's
hours
a
a week
lot.
there. Yeah, I might try to narrow that down a little bit. We lost one of well, he didn't. He just left. We didn't lose him.
You didn't lose him.
But he left because he has an internship. So he left, and so we've been trying to find some more people to work. So yeah, I'd like to probably work closer to like 20, but about 30 right now, which is it's fine. It's light for a long time, so I'm still able to get all my runs in. Yeah. So that's been fun.
I imagine I would probably feel the same way. Like, you can only run so much, and then you got a lot of time for like Netflix. Do you watch TV? See, I am assuming again that you're not a big TV person.
No, you're good. I mean, and that's what I was noticing is I think I was watching too much TV for my liking. I do like to watch Netflix and stuff.
Feels good.
But I was like, Makena, you're becoming, I was like, I'm like doing this too much. So I do like to watch Netflix and do that kind of thing to relax. But I don't quite do it as much anymore because I don't have very much time. But I was watching a lot of it when I was just running, and during COVID. So I was like, well, can't go somewhere right now. I don't know. Can't go sit somewhere.
Okay. What was your favorite COVID binge?
Ooh, well, I have a couple. So I watched all of Chip and Joanna's. It's like their house one. Why am I forgetting?
I don't know. I haven't. Is it like a new one, or just like the one they've always done?
No, it's the one they've always done. So it's like I love them.
Why can't we think of that?
I know. It's right there. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
It's something with the home. It's on HGTV. And so I was watching a lot of that. I'll remember this in like 5 minutes or later. And then I'll be like, oh, that was it. But no, I watched all of that. Fixer Upper. Yes. Love Fixer Upper. was binging that. I would just rewatch all of it. And then I also love New Girl. So I've already seen New Girl. But I rewatched it during COVID. So I would say it's funny and makes me happy. So I was like, I'll watch this during these sad COVID times.
That's good. I needed a lot of that. Ted Lasso was have you watched that?
No, I've heard of it though. I need some more. So I should watch it.
It's the only problem is you got to do it on Apple TV, but it is 100% worth doing like whatever the Apple trial subscription is, because
I'll do that.
If you're looking for happy, it is like the happiest show on the planet, and it's funny.
Okay, this is great. Oh, I love this. I need happy and funny. That's my favorite kind. So I will look this up.
And if you watch it now, season 2's coming out in like July. So like you'll be
perfect.
Fresh and like be excited for season 2, and it'll be like fairly soon.
Oh, this is great. Thank you. I wrote it down, so we're all good. I have it. I will remember.
Okay, Makena, what is the most recent book you've read?
Oh, so I'm super into, this is great too. So I was a huge reader growing up.
Okay.
But then I went to school for English and then anthropology. And so I read a lot of books that were assigned to me and in college. So I was like kind of burnt out on reading. And so I've been like, I don't know, I just loved it so much growing up. So I was like, I really hope that someday I can get back into like being a reader.
Yeah.
And so this summer I started reading a whole bunch more, and my favorite, I've been binging this author called, her name is Kristen Hanna.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I love her. They're fiction, but they're kind of like historical fiction. So yeah, my favorite book by her was The Great Alone, but I also just read The Four Winds, which was also amazing by her. So basically all of her books have been my favorite during COVID.
I just finished The Four Winds.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
So sad.
We won't give anything away. Don't worry, everybody. But like, read that book. It's so
Me
good.
too.
I did not expect that ending at all, and it definitely left me heartbroken.
Yes, but good. But like a good.
Yeah,
it was a good heartbroken. But I was finished it on the airplane back from Sound Running, and I think the people next to me are like, "Oh, what happened? What happened to this poor girl?" I'm just like joking.
She's so good. She's so good at writing books like that.
Oh, all of her books, and I was worried at first. I kind of get hooked on authors, but some authors like write pretty much exactly the same, and some of her books are similar, but like she still has like a lot of different voices. So I feel like I don't get bored reading just her books, so I can read all of them and be fine.
Yeah, and I liked The Four Winds way better than The Great Alone. It was still good though.
Yes, still good. That one just was a little long, and then Magic Hour. I don't know if you've read that.
I haven't done that one yet, so should that be on my list? Okay.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's like half the size. It's way shorter. So and way different, like completely different. It's like set in like present time. Yeah, great.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I know I literally finished The Four Winds, I think on like Monday, and it's one of those books you finish where if you don't have another one lined up, you're like, "Oh shoot, what do I do now?" Like I need to be invested in this story.
Yep. You feel like kind of like, I don't know. I felt when I was done, I was like, oh, I'm feeling kind of alone.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in the book. And then now I'm like, I'm in reality now. Oops.
Yeah.
So yes, I need to get another one ready.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Last question. What is your last message you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Well, I would say give people a hug if you can, because hugs are great. And I've been loving all the recent hugs, and that's my biggest one. And smile at people, because I don't know how masks are doing everywhere else, but I know that sometimes masks have been starting to get, mandates have been lifted. So I've noticed a lot of people are, at least here in Montana, a lot of people are smiling, and it's great. Like they're over smiling, but I love it. Like just smile. Like, I don't know, just smile all the time when you don't have enough. So yes, hugs and smiles, or wait a little bit and do that whenever you can.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And I think it was
me too.
The perfect timing. So this was wonderful.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, best of luck, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, friends, thanks for being here today. Thank you, Makena, for coming on the show. You all make sure you go check out Makena. Let her know if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. She is Makena, Makena _ Morley over there. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Lindsay Hine626. You can find me on Twitter at Lindsay Hine, and you can find us on Facebook. I'll have another podcast with Lindsay Hine where we have a group as well. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so very much. All the links to sponsors and anything Makena and I talked about will be in the show notes at lindsayhine.com. If you want to learn more about our podcast network, check out sandyboyproductions.com as well as our Instagram page, Sandy Boy Productions. Have a great Friday, a wonderful rest of your weekend, and as always, I will see you next Friday.